he was cheating.
Oh.
So here it is. So this is the backstory. When I was 18, 19, we lived together. And he had this friend. So he tried to picture like she was this friend. And you know how you always get that inclination like something ain't right? Never ignore your gut. I'm telling you, never ignore it, right?
Yeah.
And I just knew. I was like, something's not right. So I'm glad you're letting me share this because this is key to it, you know.
Yes.
And you know, I went in, you know, he was some trash. I was in love with some trash. Let's say what it is. I was in love with some trash. You know what I'm saying? At the time, he felt good. So he cheated. So we had all went out one night. She had come into my house, which was our home together. We were living together. And one night, it was like this party, and I went to it, and she came with us, and she met us there, and like she had like one of her friends with her, and he was like, you know, you're not really talking. I just sat back and observed and just watched how they, you know, interacted, you know, because you know when somebody wants your man, just like you know when somebody wants your woman, you know, no matter how many times he try to say no, that gut don't let you, you know. So I didn't like it, and so he had like left his keys or something. I went back home, and she just so happened to have to be the one to take him wherever they were going. He was gone for a long time. I don't even think he came home because he had a returning home issue. Wow. Okay. I literally had I was in a relationship with a Jody. You seen Baby Boy? I literally was Taraji, okay? Straight up. That was my life. And so he did that, and I just went in his phone one day, and she had these pictures. She had sent him, like, licking her tongue out and was like, oh, I want to taste you.
Whoa.
Yeah, right? I remember it. It's when we had Nextels. Remember the Nextel walkie-talkie phone?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So this is in 2005.
Wow,
and
that's a long time
Yeah,
ago.
in 2005 and 2006. And I just remember, I was like, damn, this woman was in my house. We had hung out. She came portraying like she was this friend.
Yeah.
But the kicker is, she was engaged.
To him.
To somebody else.
Oh.
Yeah, so she was engaged. So I had called her one day, you know, all those years ago. I called her and confronted her about it. And she was like, oh, we didn't do anything. And he just lied. He told her that my mom had kicked me out and that I was living with him. That was his house, which was totally false.
Oh, wow.
And I was like, what? This is my house. Like, my name on the lease. What are you talking about? Like, so we went through that. And then I had told her then that, you know, I can curse.
You free.
I told her then, when I catch you, I'm going to beat your ass.
Oh.
I told her, I don't know when, you know, but I'm going to do it. I owed you an ass whipping. Right? So then fast forward, I don't know what happened with them after that. Me and him continued our relationship. She got married. She ended up having children with her husband. So here we are 9 years later. So 9 years later, while me and him are together and he wanted to, we were working on a relationship and things like that. I was like, okay. He was telling me that he was going to be available. And I would just happen to be over his house one day. And he used to have a problem because he used to go back and forth between. So I stayed with him. He cheated and made 2 children.
Whoa.
Yeah. But that ain't got nothing to do with this story. You know what I'm saying? So, but he used to go back and forth between me and his son's mother a lot. You know, which ended up was the son that he was telling me wasn't his. But whole time it was his son. Like, it's just crazy, right?
Wow.
So yeah, I got stories. And so with that, I ended up calling her, went to his phone, and I saw that he was still, at that time, he was still messing with the baby mother because his baby mother had moved to Philly because that's where she was from. He was still messing with the baby mother. He was messing with a whole bunch of other chicks, but I came across this girl and I was like, oh my God, you are really dealing with this girl now. So it was a whole 9-year flashback. And I was like, here we are 9 years later, and it came circling back. And he was dealing with her. And so I ended up reaching out to her, me and my homegirl. I reached out to her, you know, cursed her out. It wasn't a pleasant conversation, you know, just because honestly, you know, I can elaborate on it now. And I wouldn't dare do that now.
Yeah.
But just back then, it's just like, I feel like, you know, some advice for the ladies and gentlemen. If you are choosing to be a cheater, don't go and let this man introduce you to this woman. And vice versa. Don't try to befriend this woman. Don't show up. Like, that is a recipe for disaster. And that's simply what it was. So I found out, I've located her husband, told her husband. Okay.
Wow.
Yeah, I don't play. If I'm gonna be upset, we all gonna be upset. So and I had told her husband. He had no clue, but I also felt sorry for him because he felt the same way I did, because she pitched my daughter's father as her friend. Now, the thing is, she was bold. She would talk on the phone to him in front of her husband like that was just her friend. See, he knew he couldn't do that.
Whoa.
With me. But this was all that I learned from her husband. He was like, "Are you sure?" And at that time they were having issues, and he was like, "No wonder why I keep trying to go to therapy with her. She was turning down counseling. She didn't want to go to therapy. Are you sure?" He was just so in disbelief because she pitched him to be the friend.
Wow.
And I had learned that our kids had been together.
Whoa.
Like, it was a lot that I did not know. And so I called, but what she did was, I was a cop. What she did was, she called my job and she filed a complaint.
Oh.
She called my job and filed a complaint. It got a little crazy. He let her. That's what pissed me off. But I've learned that a liar, and just when people are in desperate situations, they will do things and won't even think about it.
Wow.
But he was so angry. He knew she called the job and didn't call me. He called my mother and told my mom, like, Candace called that girl and told her husband. My mama didn't know what was going on and was like, and then he called me like, "I hope you lose your job." I ended up losing my job maybe like 4 or 5 years later. Wow. But it was like all wrong with how I did about it. Like, the job didn't do any investigation. She had the same phone number since I was a teenager. So they assumed that I had gotten her information from the system. Like, they just didn't do any research. You know what I mean? They didn't do any research and to find out anything. And then during my hearing, my coworker actually got on the stand and lied, told a bold-faced lie on me. Wow. Somebody I never talked to, never had a rapport of any kind. And it just basically was one of those situations where the odds were against me.
Wow.
They were against me. And I could have kept my job if I would have slept with someone. You know, that was also a thing.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah. And that's why it's like that. I don't see how these girls be out here, you know, sleeping with people for Birkins and Gucci bags and some money. Like, I just couldn't do it. And I had been there nine and a half years. So where it is now, next year I would have been able to retire. But I was propositioned because they had filed the charges. They all had just got dismissed. You know, she ended up not even I got fired and she didn't even come to court. She didn't even show up to the hearing. He didn't even show up. So it was like, I really shouldn't have lost my job. But I had a black attorney and he wasn't too liked. But it was just so many factors that went into it that they didn't do that. The police department didn't do their job.
Wow.
You know, I wasn't on the good old girl list, the good old boy list, you know, because it's real click based there. But I was propositioned by a commander at the time that could have changed everything. And he was like, you know, and I was like, okay.
You got to do something?
And never called him.
Whoa.
And about 4 months later, I lost my job.
Wow.
Yeah.
I'm so sorry about that experience.
Don't be sorry.
But whoa.
That was the best. That ended up being the best thing that ever happened to me. Was me getting fired.
So still on that one moment, did that change your perspective about guys? Just that whole scenario?
No.
Like, guys are cheaters or?
No. People do what they want to do. You know what I mean? It didn't change my perspective about anything. If anything, it just gave me it didn't change anything because I didn't feel like that. Because what I felt like was love can conquer all. And I can change this man.
Oh.
You know, we all feel like that. Like, I could change this person, or I can just love this person so much that eventually by me staying and dealing and accepting this bullshit that they're giving me, you know, this ride or die concept after you done died 100 times, you know what I mean? Yeah. That, he will recognize and say, hey, I want to be with you and we're going to make it work. that was that mindset that I had then, where it was, my mom used to say, men ain't shit. And so in actuality, for me, what that did, it made me want to prove her wrong.
Oh.
So I stayed with somebody I should have left.
Got you.
Yeah.
That's tough. But I want to say this, like, if a man does not change to get you, he's never going to change to keep you.
Well,
There's 1% chance that he's going to change to keep you.
Well, people don't change until they want to.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
And people don't change until they're ready.